Hello, folks. This is Kenneth Reese, the founder, owner, operator of WataugaOnline.com. And it is just about that time of year again as we are into early August. And I welcome in for the first time this calendar year, the superintendent of Watauga County Schools, Dr. Scott Elliott. Hello, and how's first and foremost, before we get into anything school-wise, how has your summer been, my good man?
Hey, Kenneth, it is good to see you. I've had a fantastic summer. I've been busy with my two children. My wife and I, if many parents can relate, feel like really our schedules now are dependent on our kids' schedules, camp and sports and church activities and different things that we do as a family. We talked at the end of last school year about this being an extra long summer with getting out of school earlier and the later start date. And we've really, as a family, just thoroughly taken advantage of that with getting out into the woods, going hiking, and spending time with friends. And it's been wonderful. After the last couple of years, our family, and I know other families, needed it too. And I hope everyone's had a great summer and are looking forward to getting back into school.
I can relate to that because every time I turn around, my daughter is in a different camp and I keep looking at the calendar. How are you fitting so many camps in for this summer? But you're right. And we will remind our viewers, and especially if you have just moved to the area, last year we were able, as the local school system, to get out of school, quote unquote, earlier than we normally do in May. And that was because of the virtual days that are used during winter now. And we're going to get into that a little bit more because that is the norm now. And we'll discuss that a little bit more. All right. So as of this recording, today is Monday, August the 8th. We are, help me out here, is it 3 weeks before the start of school? Is it 2 weeks?
That's just 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Two weeks.
School. So next week, August the 16th on Tuesday, we have our convocation, which is the first day for all of our staff and teachers to be back together, though we have teachers here in our building today. Many teachers have been working and doing professional development all summer long, but the following Monday, the 22nd, is the first day for students. And so just exciting. And we talk about this, we both have daughters going into high school this year, and a lot of all of our families just getting ready for the start of the school year. It's time to start those school time routines with bedtimes and planning and thinking about the coming school year. But yeah, Monday, August the 22nd, be looking for those big yellow buses and bright shining faces. We'll be back in school.
Well, let's talk about, we've got a lot we can discuss. We're going to try to keep this kind of condensed for you, the viewer. Let's just start where you want to start with the start of the new year. What's the big story? We've got the Back to School Festival coming up. So let's maybe touch on that first.
Always an exciting way to start the school year. So please ask that everyone take a look either at their Facebook page or the Back to School Festival website. You might want to look back to the number 2 school, or just Google Back to School Festival Watauga. Just a fantastic event. It's hard to believe, Kenneth, this is the 10th year of the Back to School Festival. Will be over at Watauga High School. I do want folks to know, please look at the calendar of the for the day. Not everyone will come at the same time in order to make sure that the lines don't back up and that there are plenty of supplies available for everyone. It will begin at 8:30 in the morning and will run through 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We ask that people stick to those times for their schools, and you can find that on their website. Back to School Festival is also still looking for volunteers and for donations. Just think about what children can get from the Back to School Festival. They'll get a brand new backpack, all the school supplies they could possibly want and need. This year, they're back to providing free shoes, new shoes for students, and back to the haircuts. So what's more special than having new shoes, a new backpack, and a new haircut to start the school year? And all of that costs something, both in terms of the over 100 people that it takes to volunteer on that day, to the money to purchase those supplies. People have been very generous, but if you go to the Back to School Festival website or Facebook page, you'll also find a way that you can make a donation. So that's the first big thing is the Back to School Festival. We'll also be having.
Remind us what day that is.
That's this coming Saturday.
Saturday.
August the 16th. I got my clock correct. So think that's right. August the
Yeah.
16th. No, excuse me. August 16th is the day that the staff return. So August the 13th, this Saturday, is the Back to School Festival. August 13th, this Saturday, Back to School Festival at Watauga High School.
Starts at what time?
We'll start at 8:30 in the morning, but please, again, check the website for the date, the times that are specific to each school.
Let
Also
me,
look for traffic around that day. We'll also be having the William Mask Memorial Ride that will be happening in the bus parking lot that morning. So there'll be a lot of things happening that day.
that's what I was going to remind our viewers of, because I'm fortunate enough to MC that event and have for several years now. So if you see a lot of motorcycles in the parking lot, don't be put off.
Come on in. Yep.
Yeah, come on in. It's a great time. But the Back to School Festival also happening the same day at Watauga High.
Then right after
go ahead.
that, Kenneth, we'll be back into all the back to school activities. So be on the lookout for emails and phone calls from your child's specific school about open house nights or orientations. We'll have freshman orientation for the high school students, and there'll be a day when students can drop by the high school to pick up their laptops and get their schedules. That will also be happening at the K-8 schools, so be on the lookout for emails and phone calls. Now is a great time also for folks to check their contact information, either refresh or learn how to sign into PowerSchool, which is the way that we can keep up with all of our children's attendance and grades and things like that, or give a call to the secretary or the attendant at your child's school and make sure you have your contact information up to date. So we'll be having all of those activities coming up over the next couple of weeks leading up to the first day of school.
I'm going to try to keep our topics in kind of order and not go all over the place. So we're talking about in-person schooling starts, of course. I guess the virtual academy starts the same day. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so we have our newest school in Watauga County Schools is the Watauga Virtual Academy. It ran all school year last year in grades K through 8, and we really had a lot of success in the program with a lot of engagement, fantastic instruction. We don't, make everything out of our test scores, but the students in that program had some of the top test scores in the county. We actually, by the end of the year, also had opportunities for those students and parents to come together and do some in-person activities. And we plan to do that for the coming school year as well. This year, we've also opened up enrollment in the Virtual Academy K through 8 for homeschool dual enrollment. So we're seeing a growing number of families in the community who are looking for opportunities outside of their homeschool environment. So we ask that if people are interested in that, they could enroll in our Watauga Virtual Academy half-time and take half of their classes from the Virtual Academy and maybe half of their classes from their homeschool. And in doing so, they then have the opportunity to access all of the things that students can do in Watauga County Schools, athletic teams, clubs, extracurricular activities. So it's sort of a win-win. And if people are interested in that, ask them to go to our website, look for the enrollment button or the Watauga Virtual Academy button, or even give a call up to our central office. So it's not new, but it's really expanding and growing for the coming year, and we're really excited about it.
And to you, the viewer, I will apologize here for a minute. We're having a little bit of audio problem on Dr. Elliott's end. He's skipping in and out a little bit. We'll see if we can get that adjusted. Speaking of technology, should remind the viewer that the Virtual Academy is a byproduct of COVID when schools were closed, and how do educators do things different. And so this has become a regular thing now for Watauga, the virtual, or for Watauga County Schools, the Virtual Academy. Speaking of COVID and what has become normal now, let's talk a little bit about remote days and how they will play into our school calendar for the second year in a row.
You're right.
Now, this is remote days for everyone. Let me make sure and tell the viewer that, not just the Virtual Academy, but remote days for everyone. And I think we've gotten used to that term, but as we've had folks move in and, we'll remind them that's one of our new terms.
It's a good reminder for everyone. So I'm glad that we're now, to some extent, talking about COVID in the past tense and things that we've learned from those experiences. One of those was that we very quickly shifted to remote instruction very briefly for all students, but there were a lot of families that wanted it to continue for a wide range of reasons and needs and interests. And so from that, we created a new school, the Watauga Virtual Academy. That's what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. But also the legislature, seeing the interest and the growing ability of school systems to offer remote instruction, offered school systems the ability to use remote instruction for all students when we have bad weather on inclement weather days. And during the budget process this summer, they made permanent the provision that all schools in North Carolina could use a handful of days for inclement weather. But those of us in the mountain counties that have waivers from the calendar to let us start 1 week earlier, we can continue to use up to 15 days of remote instruction. So we didn't use 15 days this past year, but as you mentioned earlier, that level of flexibility did allow us to end school in May for one of the first times or few years in many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
We'll use that option judiciously, meaning we won't always use remote instruction days, but we will use them. We had, just like everything else, there are good things about it, and there are challenges for some families with it. We've heard families tell us that it's wonderful. In fact, the idea first started with a group of parents who approached me about it about 7 or 8 years ago. And then there are families that, it creates some difficulties for them with their logistics for the day. But we've been able to make it possible for students to continue to get quality instruction and stay connected to their classes and stay connected to their teachers and not have to make it up 3-4 months later at the end of the school year. It helps to provide some additional continuity. Yes, there are some downsides, but it's great that we continue to have that safety net or that option in the event that we need it.
And we'll remind the viewer that on average, Watauga County Schools misses right around 20, 22 days, somewhere in that ballpark. Of course, some years it's a little less. In recent years, it has really not been more, thank goodness. But 15 days of remote days approved for Watauga County and the High Country Mountain County schools. And what a fabulous resource to be able to use should we reach another one of those Januaries where we're missing 2 weeks in a row due to ice and snow. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes. Let's switch gears a little bit. Do you want to talk about school safety a little bit? That's always on everyone's mind. Let's talk about that for this coming calendar year.
It certainly is on everyone's mind, Kenneth. It is on my mind as a teacher and a school administrator. It's on my mind as a parent. It's on my mind as a spouse to my wife, who's a teacher. And I know I've been having conversations with parents about school safety all summer long because of the unfortunate events that occurred near the end of the school year in Texas and in a few other places. There's so much that can be learned from the event that happened down there. This summer, the Board of Education had a special session during one of their Board of Education meetings where they talked at length, a couple of hours conversation about school safety. Sheriff Hageman, Captain Russell, Lieutenant Morrison, and others from the Watauga Sheriff's Office came in and talked with the Board of Education, both in their open session and then also privately in their closed session about some things that we do. We have a fantastic relationship with all of our local law enforcement, and we're very proud to have the relationship that we have with the school resource officers that we have in our buildings. Some things that people can be reminded of or maybe need to know is that school safety is going to be top of mind for folks as we start the school year. Yes, there will be a couple of days at the start of the school where in some of our schools, parents will be in the building walking their children to school. But after the first couple of days, that will come to an end. And when parents and visitors come to the building, they'll be going through our visitor management system where they will need to use a driver's license or a photo ID to check in to the front office. We'll continue with our procedure of a single point of entry and parents and visitors coming into a locked area at the entrance of the school. We have done a lot of facility checking and repairing of things around the school district to make sure that our doors lock and close and all of those things. We also, parents will expect to see an increased law enforcement presence at our schools at the start of the school year with extra patrols around our schools from local law enforcement and even some of our state law enforcement agencies that will be doing patrols around our buildings. We'll also be increasing and enhancing our student services within our school buildings. We are adding in-school mental health services beyond what we've been doing in the past. We've hired an additional school social worker who is the clinical social worker who can provide mental health services and screening and early interventions for students who might need it. And we just want to have the closest, most positive working relationship with our families possible. We love all of the students and all the children who come through our doors every day, and we want to be a service and a support to families when there are needs. And of course, we say it all the time, but it's especially true that we need everyone to be vigilant. So when a parent or a student or a community member sees something or hears something that might be of a concern, or maybe there's a need or someone needs checking on or needs a little bit of extra support, when you see something, say something. We have an anonymous reporting system that can be found on our website, but we also welcome just phone calls and emails from parents or members of the community. So I'm proud that we have been doing a lot already, that a lot of school systems are now beginning to see the need to do, and we're just going to continue those things and be as vigilant as we possibly can. I understand the concerns that parents have. I still continue to believe that being inside of a school is one of the safest places that a child can be during the day, with all of the supervision and the security that we have. Unfortunately, things can happen anywhere, but it will be top of mind as we start the school year. And I just ask for teachers and parents to work together and communicate and build those positive relationships that really will help us throughout the school year.
It's worth noting that our local law enforcement recently concluded training on the Caldwell Community College Watauga campus for that situation. So they have been putting in a lot of work as well.
It is, and you know, people will be seeing this video over the next couple of weeks, but as we're recording this during this week, also multiple agencies of law enforcement will be at one of our schools at Cove Creek School, that we've given them the entire facility to be able to do a lot of school specific training. They do that every year. They do it throughout the year. There, of course, is some increased emphasis to it right now, but our law enforcement agencies here locally are very vigilant about school and protecting our schools and our students, and we're grateful for it.
All right, just a couple of more topics. Zoom is actually telling me I'm about to time out, so I've got 9 minutes left, but that's plenty. Two other quick topics. How are teacher shortages here in Watauga? Is that an issue like it is statewide and nationwide?
Not as much as it is statewide or nationwide, but we are seeing more shortages here than we have, at least in my now 9 school years here. We anticipate having most, if not all, of our positions filled by the first day of school, but it's been more difficult. So we have a number of different issues. One is, as an organization, we're having difficulty finding employees, just like every other kind of business is. There are also fewer students going into teacher education, so fewer students coming out of teacher education. And I'll just say that I think that teachers have endured a lot over the last couple of years. Teachers were first the heroes when COVID hit and we went into remote instruction, and then suddenly they became the targets of political rhetoric, just to be candid with you. So again, I would say if we want Watauga County schools to be the best place to learn and the best place to work, and for children to receive a world-class education here, we want to continue to support our teachers. And so I ask that parents and community members just continue to pour support and love into these teachers, and reach out to them, offer support, communicate with them, know that they are your neighbors. You'll see them in the store, you'll see them at church, you'll see them at ball games. And let's just have the best relationship with our teachers possible, so that we can continue to fill these positions and be a place where people want to come. Of course, we have our challenges with affordable housing and cost of living and some of those things. But fortunately, Watauga County Schools and Watauga County continues to be a place where people want to come to live and to teach. And we're grateful for that.
Give us an update. This is the last question I have for you. Give us an update on the new Valley Crucis School. Is the design complete? When is groundbreaking, and when do we expect completion?
Plans have been completed. There was a pre-bid meeting with interested contractors just last week. They now have until the end of the month to submit bids. Bids will be opened by the county, and if all things go well, a contractor will be identified and put under contract later this fall, with construction beginning in the spring. That's if everything goes well, but we've been very fortunate to have a smooth process to this point of approval from the state, approval from the Department of Insurance, all of the environmental regulations and checks and things like that. We anticipate that the construction is going to cost more than it first did, but just because of what's been happening in the economy and what we're hearing from other architects and school systems. But for now, we're planning to move forward. The county commission will be having a public hearing soon on the funding for the program. That's just part of the process. But so far, everything is on track. If we are able to make it happen the way that we hope that it will, and weather and funding and everything is cooperative, then we're looking at sometime around 2024 summer, maybe fall of 2024, opening that new school.
And we'll continue to provide updates as that project completes. All right, wrap us up on a final note as we record this on Monday, August the 8th, 2 weeks away from the start of the calendar year.
All right. Well, just to get our dates correct again, Back to School Festival, Saturday, August the 13th. Check out the Back to School Festival website and Facebook page. Our teachers, we welcome them back on August the 16th. We would invite any parents or businesses who want to show some appreciation, maybe sponsor a breakfast or something like that in your local school. We'll be doing professional development and getting ready. We'll be having open houses first day of school, Monday, August the 22nd. So let's all get ready and have our kids excited and ready to go to school this year. Our theme for the school year is all about relationships and forming and keeping positive relationships with our schools, our community, our students and parents. I hope that a lot of the things that have been difficult for us to navigate are behind us now over the last couple of years, and we can kind of move back into a more normal school year of exciting things happening for our students. I just want to say thank you to the entire community for all that you do to make Watauga County and Watauga County Schools a great place to learn and work. And be no surprise to you, I try to end every conversation with a thank you to our teachers and to our staff and the 720 folks who've committed their lives and careers to working in Watauga County Schools. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to talking more school with you again sometime soon, Kenneth.
That's Watauga County School Superintendent Dr. Scott Elliott as we look ahead to the start of this calendar year. And we hope to do one of these at least once a month. I said that last year, and then the month just flew by.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Folks, thank you for tuning in. For now, I'm the founder, owner, operator of WataugaOnline.com, Kenneth Reese. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.